We are now about 12 weeks from the release of the highly anticipated Batman vs. Superman, and actor Henry Cavill was recently asked if any of the themes or story points in the new film are responses to the criticism some people had with Man of Steel. Cavill said the following: "The reception of my first Superman movie, from what I've read, was fairly mixed. Everyone I've spoken to enjoyed the movie, but not unlike if you're going to meet a stranger in the street, they're not going to badmouth you to your face. There's no intentional move, I don't think, in Batman vs. Superman to address any issues that people had with Man of Steel. It's just a continuation of that storyline, and they continue to develop that world and introduce new characters." Jeanette, buy or sell Cavill's comments?
Yeah, I buy his comments. I think, did Man of Steel, and then obviously Man of Steel 2 was announced, and we all thought that it was going to be a Superman-centric film, and it was, for all intents and purposes, until they got into the story beats, and someone mentioned something about, delivering some kryptonite to Wayne Manor, and that just got everybody, excited about, why not, the Bale Batman's ending, why not introduce Batman, and that just jump-started this whole film into becoming Batman v Superman, so that's why it took an extra year to even get all of this released, and now we're seeing it finally in less than 3 months. So I'm sure Cavill was disappointed that it wasn't just a Man of Steel 2 sequel, because he has to share the spotlight with a lot of other characters now. But I feel very positive that eventually, maybe even January 19th, they'll announce Man of Steel 2 and The Batman, when those films are actually going to be coming out within the DC superhero pipeline. So I don't think that this is anything like, Man of Steel sucked, so we're not going to do a Man of Steel 2. I think it's just, like what he said, it's a natural progression of the storyline, but also a way to introduce all these new characters into the universe.
Yeah, let's be clear. Man of Steel is freaking awesome. I love Man of Steel. I love that movie. I'm unapologetic about it, and I like it more and more every single time I watch it. That being said, that doesn't take away from the truth that it did get mixed reactions from people.
Totally.
But right from the beginning that we saw, I know when you and I saw Man of Steel, a lot of us were saying right from the beginning, before we heard about another movie or anything, it was like, I bet all that stuff that happened is going to play into the storyline of the next movie. All the destruction we saw, all that is going to feed into, that was all for a reason. Yeah. That was all for a purpose. It's going to feed in. So I totally buy Henry Cavill's comments when he says that I do not believe anything that we're going to see in Batman v Superman is a reaction to the fans' reaction. I think it's just an extension of the plan that they had. I think they always wanted to have this alien just showed up, and we always forget about that by the end of Man of Steel. First of all, Clark just became Superman, and two, the world is just really seeing Superman for the first time, and now all this crap goes down. This is obviously going to play into the narrative of the next movie. This has to be addressed. So I do believe what he's saying. This was not a reaction. This was part of the plan. Anyway, Christian, how do you see it?
I buy his comments as well, and I think that it's one of these things we have to remember. We've talked about it many times. Is that the DCU is playing catch up to Marvel, and I think that there's been a plan for a very long time as, well, here's what we need to do in order to catch them. And I think that there's probably conversations that they were having. Well, look, what if in the next one we got to bring in Batman eventually? What if we just go at this point, just don't do the Man of Steel sequel now. Let's do Batman v Superman. Introduce Batman to the audience. I think that there's probably conversations that were happening maybe anyway. So then it makes sense to it, because I also think that I don't necessarily know if Henry Cavill's upset that they went Batman v Superman. We'll never know. We'd have to obviously ask him. But I think that this, to him, I think is going to get even more of the spotlight as him. We know he signed on for Superman because he's made that we talked about it on Movie Talk shows back.
Yeah.
Right. Great comments he made about he's embracing. He wants to play Superman for a very long time.
He wants to play Superman the rest of his life.
That's why I don't think he necessarily will be that upset, because it's like, okay, what's going to further the story? And he probably sat down with Zack Snyder and the powers that be at Warner Brothers and said, this is the direction we want to take Superman. So he's probably, okay, great. Then let's do it. So I don't think that it was reactionary to some people hated it. It also made a lot of money. So they could have done a sequel and been fine, but I think this is the way they want to take the story and to further the DCU.
If you had asked me, if NBC comes to me and says, "Hey, John, we want you to do an entertainment talk show at 8:00," and I go, "Okay, I'll do that," and I do it at 8, and it goes fine. But then the NBC execs come to me and say, "Hey, how would you feel about having you and Kevin Smith do this show together?" I'm not going to be disappointed.
Right,
I'm going to be
right.
like, hell yes, number one, because I'm going to get to do with Kevin Smith, but also because with Kevin Smith being involved, that's going to increase the amount of appeal. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I don't know if Cavill would have been very upset that they're bringing it, because I think he would understand that this is just going to, monstrously increase the interest from the public in the movie and get a lot more people coming to see him. So, or maybe he was a pouty little baby. I mean,
knows?
I don't know Henry personally. I've only met him a few times, so who knows? Was that it?
That was it. Hey guys, if you like this clip, click here to watch the entire episode. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel because it'll help you stay up to date with all the stuff we've got going on here at Collider.